The war in the Middle East is spreading outside the region. Iran attacks Pakistan and Iraq. And of course, Iraq recalls its ambassador. Welcome to Constable Confidential. I'm Simon Constable, and joining us again today is Iranian-born British man Vahid Beheshti, and he's going to discuss the mess that the world is in right now. Thank you for joining us. I know where you are in London. It's freezing. Thank you for coming out of the cold and into somewhere where you can talk to us.
Thank you, Simon, for having me. It's my pleasure. Thank you.
Let's talk about this attack by Iran on Pakistan and Iraq. That was the last thing that I would have expected. What do you think is going on?
So, as I stated about more than 10 days ago in the Knesset in Israel, I was in Israel, and I said the Iranian regime is in its weakest position since 44 years ago. So,
that was when the Iranian Revolution happened, and the mullahs kicked out the Shah and came to power. Am I right in saying that?
Exactly. And I don't think, to be honest, if I'm going to be very frank, the mullahs didn't kick out the Shah. I didn't call even that revolution. I call it international military coup against the Shah. I don't want to go into that, but that's another different story. 44 years ago, but Iranian regime is in its weakest positions since then, 1979, and they are stuck in this mess that they created themselves. They thought by pushing Hamas, one of their proxies, into this war, they can divert the world attention and from what's happening inside Iran. They can disrupt the normalization, the relationship between Israel and Arab countries, especially Saudi Arabia, and they can do a great favor to their master, Russia. They can divert the war from the Ukraine and Russia war. And they can, by manipulating the public opinion and their PR through their PR war, they can and get the ceasefire in 2 or 3 weeks. So they're miscalculated. And they never expected such a reaction from Israel to go into Gaza and react as we are seeing and we all witnessing now. So this miscalculation put Iranian regime in the very, very bad situation. From one side, they don't want to involve themselves directly in this war because they know they cannot last even a couple of weeks in front of these world powers. Why? Because they have no legitimacy. The Iranian people, the 18 million Iranian people, are waiting for a second, for a moment, for an opportunity for any country, any of these power to attack this regime, and they're going to come to the street, the Iranian people, and finish this regime. So they don't want to do that. They don't want to get themselves involved directly. But from the other side, if they won't get involved, they are losing the trust of other proxies, Hezbollah, Houthis, Kata'ibul Hezbollah, Kata'ibul Haq, I can name it. Because the other proxies, they are witnessing Iranian regime put Hamas in this situation, pushed Hamas in this war, and now sitting back, watching Hamas getting destroyed by Israel. So they are in this very, very bad situation. But from the other side, Israel attacked through a very clear operation, took out few of their very important character and their military commander of Iranian regime. One of them was Razi Mousavi 3 weeks ago in Syria. And other one, it was the Hezbollah's top commander, Saleh al-Aruri in Beirut. So for these attacks that Israel do on their high officials of Iranian regime and the proxies, the Basijis, the Basijis branch of IRGC's forces,
No,
So, and
the IR for new listeners, and the IRGC is the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, and it's an extraterritorial army basically that goes around doing things largely across the Middle East, but also a bit in South America too. Am I right in that saying that?
exactly, exactly. So for this great and targeted and clear attacks of Israel that is doing and destroying Hamas from the other side, and attacking, re-attacking the Hezbollah when they firing rocket now, the forces pro-Iranian regime, I mean, about the Revolutionary Guards, about the Basij and other forces, they are losing their hope on the regime and they losing their motivation. That's why Iranian regime must show to their own forces, to their own people who they are supporting them, show them something. That's why he's done these two attacks. One of them was in Iraq, Erbil, which killed 1-year-old children. And last night it was another one was in Pakistan, and again killed 2 children in that attack. And their excuse is they attacking the bases of the Iranian terrorist organizations in Iraq and in Pakistan. So the reaction of Iraq, as you stated, they recalled their diplomats, and recently I have a new one. Is 2 hours ago the new report was that Pakistan recalled its ambassador, and they didn't allow Iranian regime ambassador to enter Pakistan anymore. So the conflict in the region escalating, the situation is escalating, and Iranian regime stuck in this very, I would say, complicated and critical situation, and are very frustrated. But the good news, Simon, is this. This is what I have said in the Parliament of Israel, Knesset. I said, if we are looking for the permanent cure once for all, and if we are ready to see this big elephant in the room after ignoring it for 44 years, this is the time. Look, engaging ourselves with these proxies, Iranian regime proxies, it's good. Of course, we have to clear the region from the terrorist organizations, but we have to go to the head of octopus, which is the Iranian regime. The good news,
and you have said that before, and it looks like the other countries in the region are now saying, well, maybe we want to help with that, meaning Pakistan and Iraq. And one of the things I found very interesting here is that Iran, as I understand it, is mainly Shiite or Shia Muslim population, and so is Iraq. And that would have seemed to me to be quite odd, but now I see something completely different. It just seems.
Look, I cannot say anything about the statistics with confidence about Iran, because we don't have any statistic when it comes to the minority majority about Iranians. I cannot trust any of the numbers that they give out, which the majority of Iranians are Shia. I don't have any fact for that. I don't have any number for that. Yes, Iranians are Muslims. Then I would say we have many Iranians, but we don't know what percentage, because the people, from the fear of their life, when they asked them, are you Muslim? They said, yes, I am Muslim, I am Shia. This is the situation of Iranians inside of Iran. We don't have any proper statistic, and I cannot trust any number from them. But the situation is this. That's what I said. If we are looking for the permanent cure, this is the time to go for to identify first the root of the problem, which is Iranian regime, the source of evil, the source of destabilization in the whole region. Look what they're doing in Iraq. Look what they're doing in Yemen, what they're doing in Syria, in Lebanon, in Israel, everywhere. So, because their goal is this. Their goal is to turn the modern world to Islamic State, to caliphate. And they are very active about it. Look how many proxies
and
they
that's
have been created.
and that's why they have the proxies, which is the
Exactly.
Iranian-backed Houthis, Iranian-backed Hamas, Iranian-backed Hezbollah, and others. Now, one of the things that you had said quite recently was that you've been protesting outside the Foreign Office in Britain, which is roughly
Yeah.
Britain's version of the US State Department, and you've been saying you've got to recall your diplomats from Iran. Why are you saying? I have a fairly good idea of why you're saying that, but explain to us what your thoughts are behind why now diplomats are supposed to be immune from anything bad happening to them while they're abroad.
Look, our diplomats are in great danger at the moment, Simon. That's what I have gave warning to David Cameron and Mr. Rishi Sunak, our Prime Minister. Seriously, 2 warnings so far. Look, after the re-attack to Houthis, the night after that, mobs gathered around our embassy in Tehran, and they called out for burning out the embassy. They burned British flag, they burned Israeli flag, they burned USA flag. But Israel and America, they don't have an embassy in Iran. We are the only country in between these 3. We have the embassy in Iran. And look at their history. 1979, just they invade USA embassy. They take 66 diplomats hostage for how many days? 444 days. Their main policy is hostage taking. That's what I said to our Prime Minister. At this time, we have to call our diplomats back home, and the next step, we have to prescribe IRGC. So this is our diplomats are in great danger, and there is a great responsibility on the shoulder of our leaders at the moment. They have to look at look what Iraq did yesterday. Iraq call out all their diplomats. Today, Pakistan called their diplomats. We need to do that urgently. Our diplomats are in great danger.
So
this is serious situation.
It is a very serious situation. When you spoke with Lord Cameron, the Foreign Secretary, which is roughly the Secretary of State in the US, the equivalent, and Rishi Sunak, the Prime Minister, is there anything you can share with us about what they said in response to your advice to them? Are they saying, "Oh yeah, we're gonna get some planes ready"?
Nothing yet. Nothing yet. Nothing. I haven't heard anything back from them. But my warning was publicly. In the papers in here in UK, they published that, and I just had an interview before you with Express, so I have said that again. And the situation is very serious. But let me go back to the previous conversation very shortly, 2 minutes about that. Look, it's the good news is there are lots of bad news, but we have a good news as well. Iranian regime, it's in its weakest position at the moment since 44 years ago. And if we want to do something seriously, is the time now. And for this, we have a great military of 80 million Iranians on the ground who are thirsty for freedom and democracy. And especially since 2009, they tried so many times to overthrow this evil regime, but they couldn't because of the level of barbarism, of brutality of this regime, which all experienced on October the 7th. But with the little support, this is what I have said 2 weeks ago in Knesset in Israel. I said with the little support of the West or Israel, they can overthrow this regime with the lowest price in Iran. We should not be afraid to attack the IRGC sites inside of Iran. We should not be afraid to attack their nuclear sites. They are very close to gaining access to nuclear weapon. How can we control them after they're gaining to nuclear warhead? So we have to attack their sites inside of Iran. And we should not be afraid to attack the house of high officials of the Iranian regime inside of Iran. The Iranian people embrace this. They see it as an opportunity. And they're going to come to the street and finish the job for us with the lowest price in Iran, in Tehran.
And we certainly know that more and more people are becoming to realize or coming to realize that Iran is part of the problem across the Middle East
It's the
with all
source of the problem. I'm
the
sorry,
source.
it's not
Yeah,
the part of the problem. It's the source of evil. It's the
it's
source
the
of the
source.
problem.
Um, can I move on to something that I thought was very touching that you did some work on? You went to Israel and you had an experience with the so-called voices from the tunnels, and we're talking about the tunnels that Hamas
Yeah,
built underneath Gaza and where it's holding hostages still, and it held a lot more hostages at the very beginning on October the 8th. It had a large number of hostages held there. What did you see, and what was your impression of that?
what I see the brutality of these people, what I see the barbarism, the level of barbarism of these, I would say, terrorists. But from the other side, what I have witnessed in Israel, I would say the symbol of democracy. I went to the Temple Mount on the first day. I saw Mosque Al-Aqsa. Few minutes after that, the wall, the Holy Wall, and just few minutes after that, the Holy Church. So Christians, Muslims, Jews are living together in peace and harmony. So, and I went to the Knesset. I saw the mosque in Knesset. So if that's what I have said on the first day. I said, if some people calling this apartheid, they have to give me the new definition of apartheid. Because this is absolute democracy, what I have witnessed in Israel. And from the other side, I witnessed the level of barbarism of these groups, these terrorists, which they cannot tolerate anything. The people who call for an elimination of the state of Israel, what can we say about them? What do we know about the state of these hostages? Hostages, you talk about the hostages. Hostage taking is the main policy of Iranian regime. And this is a mistake of Biden administration. Why? 3 weeks before October the 7th, Biden administration released 6 billion ransom money for 5 hostages. And the result was taking 250 hostages by Hamas from Israel because we encouraged them. And now we don't know anything about these hostages. And they are trying to force us with their demand, to their evil, to meet their evil demand by taking our dearest people as a hostage and force us to do that. We should not go on our knees in front of these terrorists this time.
Now,
we cannot tolerate them anymore.
Now, one of the things that we're seeing in the West is that message not getting entirely through to the media. Is that because of Iran's mass cyber army? You know, people on computers trying to spread disinformation. Is that part of the issue with that, and people not understanding in the UK, in France, in Germany, across America, Canada, wherever you can mention that's a democracy?
Thank you, Simon. Thank you for bringing this up. This is amazing. And I like the way you identify this very, very important, I would say, point. Iranian regime is expert on PR war. They have more than 50, I don't know how many fake Twitter accounts, Instagram accounts. They have a great cyber army. And they spend billions and billions on their cyber army to misinform the world, to divert the public opinion, to manipulate the public opinion, to brainwash our youth. That's how they could look at October 7th. October 7th happened. Israel didn't even take any in first couple of days, didn't take any action in first couple of days. We were witnessing people in the streets of London. That's how they were working on their PR war. I think 1 year before the actual attack. Iranian regime are expert on this. For example, look at myself, my situation. When I was on a hunger strike, nearly 50,000 Twitter accounts, they were targeting me. They were attacking me. They were
I should
me.
point out for new listeners who haven't heard the previous episodes, you were on hunger strike outside the Foreign Office for, I think it was 72 days, which is an enormously long time, and that was in protest of Britain not proscribing or banning, in other words, the IRGC, the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps. That was something, that was a deep commitment that you made to make that protest.
And today is the day 330 that we are still there. Our sit-in protests continue. And I hope soon we will proscribe this terrorist organization. And yes, and they were attacking me, labeling me with all these different organizations. And they were labeling me that I am the Iranian regime agent. Look how bad they are now when they want to discredit someone. They labeling that person to themselves and connecting me. They're trying to connect that person to them, to themselves. But they couldn't, of course, they couldn't be successful. They couldn't label anything because people knew me, but they are very, very active. And at the moment, this is very important. At the moment, they are working on the family of hostages. This is very important. They're creating different groups on different social media and trying to manipulate the families, because the families, they are in very hard situations. Their dearest are in the hands of these terrorist organizations. They don't know anything about their situation. They don't know even if they're alive or not. And so they are manipulating their mind, and they're trying, they're trying to put immense pressure on IDF and Israel government.
So they're pulling at the heartstrings of the parents and the relatives of the hostages that have been in there for over 100 days now. That sounds absolutely despicable. That doesn't sound like soldiers you would expect from who were operating under the Geneva Conventions. That sounds absolutely awful, and I certainly didn't know that before you mentioned it. Now, one thing I want to point out to our listeners, because they definitely can't see you, is that Vahid Beheshti, who's been protesting the IRGC and wanting to get it banned in the UK. He's got a big hefty woolen hat on, covering his ears so that he can be protesting outside. Now, outside in January in London, it is generally wet and cold and a bit gloomy. So that tells you another level of his dedication. Anything you want to add to that? Do you have like?
I'm just gonna tell you, Simon. Tonight is gonna go -5. Last night was -2, and the night before was -4. But I am embracing, because I know why I am here, why I put myself in this situation, because of our values, because the values that we are benefiting, especially in here, in West. And I know how IRGC operating, not just in the region, in Yemen, Iraq, Israel, Lebanon, and Syria. In here, in London, they are operating, they are in these so-called charities, Islamic centers, mosques. They brainwashing our youth and turning them to the sleeping cell, to the sleeping agents of them, to destroy our values. That's why I put myself in this situation, and I am proud of it, to be in this situation. And I'm going to stay. Doesn't matter how long it's going to take. Doesn't matter what price we pay for it. Until that day, we take this necessary step for our safety and security and make the world better and safer place to live, and prescribe IRGC, Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, the source of evil.
And we are very proud of you for doing that. Do stay warm and don't get ill and don't catch a cold. That was Vahid Beheshti. He's a protester in London. He's an Iranian-born British citizen. Thank you very much again. I'm Simon Constable, and that's it.